Hello friends, this is set number 4 in our series of Geography, Environment and Mapping GEM series. Geography, Environment and Mapping series, and we will be starting with question number 36. From question number 1 to 35 we have already discussed in first 3 videos. So this will be question number 36, and let's start with question number 36. The first question is with regard to the Wildlife Protection Act. This act is the favorite act of the UPSC, and they ask every year, almost every year, the question out of this act. So it is very important to have detailed understanding of this act, and so I have taken 2-3 questions of this act in this video only. So the statement is with reference to Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Consider the following statement number 1: no person shall hunt any wild animal specified in any schedule under the act. See, under the Wildlife Protection Act there are six schedules, and different animals and plants are placed in these 6 schedules, and in these 6 schedules the different level of protection is granted to the animals which are placed in respect to schedule. For example, in schedule 1 highest level of protection is granted. In schedule 2 the animals are also protected and high level of protection is granted in this schedule also, but here the animals in schedule number 1, the most endangered animals, okay, the endangered animals, for example tiger, leopard, they are placed in the schedule 1. Similarly in schedule 2. So if you study all the schedules, schedule 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, right, in schedule number 1 and 2 highest protection is granted, then the level of protection keeps on reducing, and in the schedule number 5 the vermins are placed, right, the animals which can be hunted, like a crow, bats, okay, mice, all these animals are placed in schedule number 5. And in the schedule 6 the species of the plants which cannot be planted except the permission of chief wildlife warden. So these are the 6 schedules in the act, and this Wildlife Protection Act fulfills the constitution guarantee under article 48A and fundamental duties 51A. Okay, so this is just extra stuff. Now the first statement is no person shall hunt any wild animal specified in any schedule. So this statement is again this word, any schedule. See, the schedule 5 animals can be hunted, so this statement is wrong. The chief wildlife warden can permit the hunting of animals in schedule 1 under certain circumstances. See, this statement is right. Why? For example, any animal which is placed in schedule number 1 is posing extreme danger or threat to the human life, then that animal can be hunted. For example, in many times the permission has been granted for hunting even the tigers which have become threat to human life, which have become man-eater animals, right? So this statement is correct. So answer is B. This is question number 36. Let's move to question number 37. Question number 37 is again on the same act, Wildlife Protection Act 1972, right? And the question is, the chief wildlife warden can grant to any person a permit to enter or reside in wildlife sanctuary for which of the following purpose. Under the Wildlife Protection Act, some permissions can be granted by chief wildlife warden for persons, whether they are researchers, scholars or students, for a certain purpose, and these purposes are already mentioned in the act, and some purposes are given here as options, and you have to select the correct choice among these. So the first option is the investigation for study. This option is correct. For photography, yes. For scientific purpose, the permission can be granted. For tourism, yes. And for transaction of lawful business with any person residing in the sanctuary. So all the statements, all the options, this is a factual question. So all factual question, and all the 5 points are mentioned there under the Wildlife Protection Act. So all the statements are correct, and the answer is D, right? So the next question is question number 38, again on the Wildlife Protection Act. See, I told you that Wildlife Protection Act is very important, and many times questions are asked. So this is probably even in 2020 the question was asked. In 2019, 2018 the question was asked. So there, is very high probability that question would be asked. Even this may be asked this year as well. So the Wildlife Protection Act, according to WPA, which of the following animals cannot be hunted by any person except under some provisions provided by the law. See, this question was again asked in 2017 UPSC 2017 prelims. So which of the animals cannot be hunted? Okay, so yes, gharial cannot be hunted. Wildlife protect, these all are granted. These, whether it is the wild ass, gharial, and the wild buffalo, these all are granted the protection under Schedule 1 and 2 of the Wildlife Protection Act, so they cannot be hunted. So all statements are correct. Answer is D. Question number 39. Question number 39 is again on the Wildlife Protection Act. This question was asked last year 2020 prelims. So if a particular species of plant, what is missing here, a species of plant is placed under Schedule 6 of the Wildlife Protection Act, what is its implications, right? What is its implication? This was question number 61 in prelims. A license is required to be required to cultivate the plant. Option number 1. Such a plant cannot be cultivated under any circumstance. This statement is wrong. It is genetically modified plant. This is also wrong. Such a plant is invasive and harmful. See, generally the permission is not granted to the plants which are invasive and harmful to the environment and the local ecology. But in actual, the Schedule 6 does not directly talk about this line, right? For example, if I ask, if we generally say that the members of the Rajya Sabha, their term is 6 years, but Constitution does not mention this in this manner. Okay, Constitution say that 1/3 of the member are retiring after every 2 years. So the statement is very indirect in the Constitution with regard to the Rajya Sabha members' lifetime in the Rajya Sabha. So similarly, in the Wildlife Protection Act Schedule 6 also, this statement is not mentioned. The statement is a license can be granted by Chief Wildlife Warden, okay, for the cultivation. So statement number A, question, the point A is this A is the correct option for this 39th question, right? So let's move to the question number 40. Question number 40 is with regard to the coastal regulation zone, right? The coastal regulation zone, wait a second. Consider the following statements with regard to the coastal regulation zones, right? CRZ. So CRZ. See, coastal regulation zone first were passed in 1991, then they were amended in 2011, and further new notification were uh, provided by the government in 2018 and 19. So there were modifications and amendment in every CRZ. So, but here it is asking about the definition of coastal regulation zone. CRZ 1 is different, 2 is different, 3 is different, 4 is different. So you have to identify the correct one. So CRZ 1 includes the area between high tide line, HTL, and low tide line. Yes, this statement is correct. CRZ 3 includes the area which have that have developed up to or close to shore. In the CRZ notification, this definition is for CRZ 2, that the areas which have developed close to the shoreline, right? And the CRZ 4, this includes the areas that are 12 nautical miles from low tide, from LTL towards the sea. This statement is also correct. So 1 and 3 is correct option. Let me show the map of this particular question here. See, this is the up to 12 nautical miles in the ocean. Okay, this up to 12 nautical miles in the ocean. This is the CRZ4, right? And between the high tide line and low tide line, this is the CRZ1, right? And the areas which have been developed up to coastline, they are CRZ3. They are CRZ2, right? CRZ2, and these have been modified. This above diagram is as per 2011 notification, and this diagram at below is as per 2018 notifications. And as per 2018 notifications, some of the modifications have been made in the CRZ. For example, no development zone has been modified for CRZ3. Earlier, the no development zone was 200 meters wide, okay, from the HTL high tide line. Now this no development zone has been reduced from 200 meters to 50 meters. And this modification is not uniform, as mean that earlier from CRZ3 it is between CRZ3 and the high tide line it is 200 meters, but now the CRZ3 has also been divided into CRZ3A and CRZ3B, right? In CRZ3A, in CRZ3A, the density is more than 1261, right? population density, and in CRZ 3b density is less than 1261, right? Population density. So as per the notification, the no development zone is varies for both CRZ 3a and CRZ 3b. For example, for CRZ 3a, the NDZ no development zone is 50 meters, but for CRZ 3b the no development zone is still 200 meters, right? So this is the difference between CRZ coastal regulation zone notification 2011 and coastal regulation zone notification 2018. Question number next 41 is about the some conventions, treaty, and the hazardous material which are mentioned in this. So the question is, which of the following convention deals in hazardous materials? Hazardous materials. The first is Basel. Yes, the Basel Convention came into force in 1994, and it prohibits Basel Convention prohibits the transboundary movement of the hazardous material. Okay, transboundary movement of the hazardous material. And mind you, this hazardous material excludes the radioactive material. So if any question is asked whether the Basel Convention also controls the movement of the radioactive material, the answer would be no. This convention, Basel Convention, excludes the radioactive materials, but it certainly controls the movement of other hazardous materials, right, across the borders, from more particularly from developed nations to the developing nation right. Question number, this one is correct. Stockholm Convention. This convention also deals with the hazardous material, more particularly the persistent organic pollutants. The one example is DDT. So this two is also correct. With regard to 3 and 4, they deal with the ozone, which is not hazardous as per the question, right? So answer would be 1 and 2A, right? This is question number 41. Next is the question number 42. Question number 42 is with regard to the Biological Diversity Act. This act, again, the question on this act has been asked, and is very potential that the question may be asked in the future as well on this act, Biological Diversity Act. So this act was enacted by the government in 2001 to fulfill its commitment under the Convention on Biological Diversity. This act was passed. And the statement here is the first statement is, the Veds and Hakims who have been practicing indigenous medicine can obtain the biological resources for commercial utilization only after giving prior intimation to the state biodiversity board concerned. See, this statement is wrong. Biological Diversity Acts, this act says that if any person, say if any foreign company or any foreign national, he wants to utilize the biological diversity or any biological resource of the country, then he would have to take the permission from National Biodiversity Authority. Mind you, any foreign national or any foreign company. But if he or she is the native citizen of India, then what he have to do, he have to take the permission from the State Biodiversity Authority, right? But in case of Veds and Hakims, they do not need to take the permission from the State Biodiversity Authority, right? So this statement would be wrong. The statement number 2 is that no person can ever apply for any intellectual property right outside India for any intervention based on any information on biological resources obtained from India. So again, this is a lengthy statement, but the statement is saying that no person can apply for intellectual property rights. For example, if anyone makes any resource from the biological resource of the country, right, and he has some knowledge, he is not an Indian citizen, but he registers that product which is obtained from the knowledge of the Indian biological resource, and he make a product and he applies for the intellectual property registration in Sweden, then there is no prohibition on that. How can Indian intellectual property right be applied in that country? So this statement is also wrong, right? But if he or she wants to apply for intellectual property rights in India, then that company or that person would have to share the benefits arising out of that product with the local community. Okay, So both statements are wrong in this. So answer would be D. Next is question number 43. Question number 43 is about the Biosphere Reserve, World Network of Biosphere Reserve. Under India has 18 Biosphere Reserve, 18 Biosphere Reserve, right? And out of these 18 Biosphere Reserve, 11 Biosphere Reserve are part of the Man and Biosphere Reserve program of UNESCO. Man and Biosphere Reserve program of UNESCO. So you have to identify out of these 18 Biosphere Reserve which one which of the following are included in that. I mean, okay, which one of the following these four are included in this. So see, both of no part of both of these list I am saying. So Kanchenjunga Biosphere Reserve, yes, part of both the list. Simlipal is also part of both the list. Nokrek is also part of both the list. Coal Desert Park, which is in Himachal Pradesh, it is part of Biosphere Reserve but is not listed under the Man and Biosphere Reserve program of UNESCO. So 4 is not the part. 1, 2 and 3 is the correct option. So B is the option answer of this question. See the map. See, this is the coal desert, right? These are the Biosphere Reserve of the India. 18 Biosphere Reserve. And out of these 18 Biosphere Reserve, the 7 are not the part of Man and Biosphere Reserve. And which are these 7? Coal desert, number 1. Manas in Assam. Dibang in Arunachal Pradesh. Dibru Sekhawa in Assam. And Panna in MP. Run of Kutch in Gujarat. Sesachalam in Andhra Pradesh. So these are not the part of MAB. All other Nanda Devi, Kanchenjunga, Nokrek, Achanak Marmar Kantak, Gulf of Mannar, Nilgiri Gastamalai, and Great Nicobar, they are part of the MAB program of the UNESCO. Next comes the question number 44. Question number 44 is about the Ramsar Convention. Okay, Ramsar Convention. The question is, which of the following statement is correct regarding the function of Secretariat of Ramsar Convention? See, Ramsar Convention came into force in 1974. Yeah. And this convention seeks to protect the wetlands, wetlands. Okay, and wetlands are nothing but the areas which are completely submerged underwater round the year, right? So these are the wetlands and they have unique diversity, very high diversity, right? So these are the wetlands and Ramsar Convention seeks to protect these wetlands. And the question is, which of the following statement is correct regarding the Secretariat of the what are functions of the Secretariat of Ramsar Convention? So number 1, to maintain the list of wetlands of international importance. So all the wetlands of the international importance list of these wetlands are maintained by the Secretariat. So this statement is correct. The statement number 2 is to provide the administrative, scientific and the technical support to the contracting party. All the parties which are part of the Ramsar Convention, the technical and administrative support is provided by the Secretariat to the Ramsar Convention. So this statement is also correct. The statement number 3 is to conserve the sites and habitat important for the faunal biodiversity. So it also seeks to conserve the sites and habitats which are important for the flora and fauna biodiversity. So this statement is also correct. So all statements are correct and this is the C is the right option for this question. See in the map. These are the 42. India has the 42 Ramsar sites. India has 42 Ramsar sites and this number has been recently increased from 37. Right? Earlier India has 26, then it increased to 37, that increased to 42. Right? And the highest number of the wetlands are in UP, 8 in India. Right? In world, highest number of wetlands are in UK, 172. Right? And these are the wetlands of India in the map. Right? Next, the question number 45. Question number 45 is again on the Ramsar Convention. See, in the Ramsar Convention, there is a provision for Montrex record. The wetlands which are threatened with the loss of the species, right? These wetlands are mentioned under the Montrex record. So it is register of the wetland sites on the Ramsar list which are facing immediate challenges, right? So this statement is correct. The statement number 2, it includes the Loktak Lake in Manipur and Vembanad Lake in Kerala. See, Loktak Lake is correct, but it is not the Vembanad Lake. Second one is the Keolo-Dogana National Park. Keolo-Dogana National Park. in Rajasthan. So this is the second wetland which is in the Montreux record in India. See, this is the Kyolodogana National Park here in Rajasthan. This, and this is here Loktak Lake in Manipur, and Vembanad Lake is in Kerala. So Vembanad Lake is not in the Montreux record. Earlier, the Chilka Lake was also in the Montreux record, but later it was removed from the Montreux record because of improving biodiversity and the protection provisions made by the government and the local community in the Chilka Lake. So it consequently improved, but the Kyolodogana and the Loktak are still in the Montreux record. So this was the question number 45 and the last question of this video. Next 10 questions we will discuss in the next video. Okay, so this was the last question. Thank you for this. Right. So if you like the video, subscribe the channel. Thank you.